All right, it's time for another episode of Believe Me, which of course is brought to you by our friends and sponsors over at BetOnline. Head on over to betonline.ag for the latest lines, odds, news, and developments, and use the promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV for your first time, one-time deposit match of up to 50%. Any deposit between $50 and $1,000, BetOnline will match up to 50% of it with the promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV over at betonline.ag. It's where the games begin. All right, that's Brandon Lang. That's Kordell Stewart. I'm Joe Ceraulo. It is the first episode of Believe Me of 2023. And gentlemen, we are starting the year on a winning note. Last week, 6 games turns into 5 because of what happened Monday night between Buffalo and Cincinnati. Brandon went 4-1. Kordell went 3-2. We've got winners all around. But the biggest story of the week, what I just alluded to, the Damar Hamlin situation. Kordell, I got to ask you first, as a former player yourself, what's going through your mind when you saw that happen Monday night?
Well, honestly, I was on a Zoom call taking care of some business, and I just saw both coaches at one point in time having a discussion and seeing Diggs kind of in his frustrating mode, trying to figure out. I'm assuming it could have been a call or some sort. And then within minutes, you see Booger McFarland on ESPN speaking about how he's never seen something like this. And the energy in the room right there on the studio was so dulcet, if you will, like really quiet and reserved and nothing being said. And all of a sudden, I end up seeing it through social media, the hit that Damar Hamlin ended up putting on the player and him falling to the ground on top of the helmet. Before you know, he gets up, kind of stumbles a little bit, and then collapses. And then when seeing the collapse and identifying what it was, I was like, because we've seen Tua this year, right, on the field against the Buffalo Bills early in the season, collapse, stumble, but never thought it was to the extent of what we ended up finding out as time progressed. And I thought it was the right thing to do in a sense of the players and what they saw, the impact that it had on everyone, seeing a player there on the ground, finding out that he left us and came back and left us a couple times and, meaning life. It was beyond me, and it kind of hit me a certain way because I was a player too at one point in time and took some really vicious hits, but never had to deal with that. And to know that those players saw it, America saw it, we as people saw it, his family saw it, those close to him saw that. You had to do nothing but extend your hand in prayer and hope the young man was good. But we know he's better now, and happy to hear that.
Right. It's been 3 days, and he's moving his hands. He's moving his feet. He's not speaking yet, but he was able to write. His oxygen levels, his vitals are back. So certainly us all at Believe are very happy with the good news that Damar Hamlin's doing well. Brandon, you were the big winner last week. So we're going to start this week with you. 1 seed implications on the line. Some Saturday football. Kansas City headed to Vegas to take on the Raiders, and the Chiefs are 9.5-point favorites in this one. Brandon, they haven't covered a single divisional game yet this year. They're the only team in football. Which side are you on?
Quickly, I don't care what anybody says. Cincy was going to blow them out. It started with winning the coin toss. It started with taking the ball, which nobody does. And that was basically Zach and Joe Burrow saying, we want the ball. We're going to go score and go up 7-0. And there's nothing going to do about it. And 6 plays later, it was 7-0. They go down, kick a field goal. 3 plays later, they're over midfield and they're about to score again. They basically were saying the secondary of the Bills, which I've called overrated all year, can't hold Boyd, Higgins, Jamar. The tight end came back, and you could see it. It was going to be a high-scoring game, but Cincy's offense was doing whatever they wanted, and I'm pissed because Carolina was a bad beat. The Bengals were going to cover that, and it would have been the first 6-0 on the podcast and the show for the year. So, and it also cost me $12,000.
Not that good.
So that, always the white man always gets shafted. It's the truth. The white gambler always gets shafted. I'm just real. It's my job to give a gambling perspective and not a player perspective about the guy falling down. And I will go on record and say this. If they could have got the dude in the ambulance and then brought out the defibrillators there, they still play the game. But when you got actual players watching a guy being revived on the field with defibrillators, that's where everybody went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I really believe that. I said if the action would have taken place in the ambulance, That's a different story. His heart stopped on the way to the hospital and they had to use the defibrillators. But I'm compassionate to know that if I'm a player and I'm looking at a player and they got to break those things out and the violent shock of the heart and clear and all that stuff we see on TV, that was shocking enough. But it's sad because Cincinnati wins that game and they win next week. If the Raiders had upset the Chiefs, you're looking at them getting the 1 seed, worst case scenario, 2 seed, 2 home games. So that sucks, but I'll say it again this week. The Raiders plus the points. I said on this show last week, and you guys thought I was crazy, Jared Stidman is a better quarterback and a better fit for this offense than Carr. He was with Josh McDaniels in New England 5 years. I'm telling you, he shredded the number 1 defense in the NFL, and they're going to have a big day. They're going to show up. They're going to play. Give me the Raiders plus the points.
Kordell, how about you here? You buy in with Jarrett Stidham is selling after taking San Fran to overtime? Look, normally I don't like Kansas City as a double-digit favorite, but they've covered 2 in a row, minus 15.5 against the Rams, minus 10.5 against Seattle. Can they, even though they're technically not double-digit favorites, can they cover this 9.5-point number, win this by 10 or more?
I'll say this. When you don't have enough film on someone and they actually come out and play, you're going to get that shock effect of what is he capable of doing in comparison to the last guy. They've been preparing for the last guy. Yes, exactly. So when you think of who's been the quarterback for the Raiders for years when it comes to San Fran playing or anyone playing against them, it's been Derek Carr. And he's been inept without having a defense or even having an offense, if you will, of a marquee player. Not making excuses, but he hadn't been able to be consistent enough to actually win. I think the newness of who this quarterback is with the Raiders is over with. I think the Chiefs actually are playing for something. I think they probably win. Honestly, in my opinion, I think they go 0.5 of a point over what they say the coverage is. 10 points. I told you last time what the Steelers are going to win by. I'm going to tell you what the Chiefs are going to win by. The Chiefs are going to win by 10 points. And they're going to beat this Raiders team. I don't care about the newness of matching the offense or, all that great stuff. Okay. But the newness of this player there's a book out on him. And I think because of that, I think the Chiefs end up winning by more than 2 points.
Joe, you ever watch The Family Feud?
My favorite show, of course.
When the family gives a good answer, good answer, good answer, good answer, and everybody claps and Harvey goes to the board, right. There's this sound.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah,
I hear what you're trying to say.
Just because Brandon threw that in there. Just because Brandon hit you with the buzzer, Kordell, I want to go against him, but 9.5 points. Kansas City, they've gone up big several times this year, and they've let teams back into games late. Look at what they've done both times against Denver. Double-digit leads that the Broncos end up covering. I see the Raiders covering this one. Kansas City wins, no doubt in my mind, but Patrick Mahomes against the Raiders, he's 8-1 straight up, just 5-4 against the spread. I think the Chiefs win, the Raiders cover. I'm with Brandon. How about game 2? Saturday Night Football, Titans-Jaguars. Winner wins the AFC South, and the Jags are 6-point favorites in this one. Kordell, which side are you on?
Every win they've covered. I'm planning on seeing this team win, and I actually end up seeing them cover. I don't think Josh Dobbs, within a week and some change or so, is going to be able to master this offense. Yeah, we could talk about running the game with Henry and all that great stuff. Yeah, Dobbs, he's mobile. He can make plays with his feet. But this Jaguars team that I've been talking about for the last month or so, that's actually just making moves and just doing outstanding things offensively and particularly in defense, playing with a tremendous amount of energy. I'm going with the Jags in this one over the Titans. They're playing in the land of Duval. I'm going with the Jags.
Nothing you like to do more than drop a Duval on this show, Kordell. Brandon, you always say winners go with streaks, losers go against them. Jacksonville's won and covered 4 straight. Tennessee's lost and failed to cover 6 straight. You're going to stick with your own words here, Brandon?
Good answer, Kordell. Good answer. Good answer, Kordell. Good answer. You can bet your children's unborn children's children,
my man,
on the Jacksonville Jaguars. You go to Houston last week with nothing to play for. The game meant nothing. You could have lost by 100 and still came back this week and beat the Titans and got into the playoffs. And they went down there and played with an intensity as if their mother was being held hostage. And if they didn't win that game, their mom dies. They blew the doors off that team. And now coming back home Where last year, when they had nothing to play for, and the Colts rolled in there trying to win and get in the playoffs, and they blew the doors off the Colts. They are going to blow the doors off Tennessee. Tennessee is done. They've been done. And now they go get a guy off the Lions practice squad and say, go win us a game on the road in the NFL. Are you serious? Jags by 50. No, I'm just kidding, but they'll win by 3 touchdowns.
I'm with both of you. I think this might be the lock of the week. I can't believe the collapse we're seeing from a Mike Vrabel-led team, but Jacksonville, what a turnaround. Year 2 for Trevor Lawrence. They might be able to actually win this division. Let's get on to game 3. It's a team we were just talking about not long ago, the Buffalo Bills. They're hosting the New England Patriots. They are 7-point favorites, a full touchdown plus the extra point over New England in this one. So many things to unpack here. The emotional aspect, playing for DeMar, now that they know he's okay. The fact that New England is stumbling. Buffalo's owned them in their last 6 matchups. Brandon, which side are you on?
I'm going to take the dog. And it goes again to, I'm just not a believer in the Buffalo Bills defense. When I saw Miami go in there playing their 3rd straight road game, spent 2 weeks on the West Coast, then flew back to the East Coast, then flew up there in very cold weather, put up 188 yards on the ground, threw for 267. They put up 29 points, and the Bills could not stop Miami offensively. This Bills defense is one of the most overrated defenses in the NFL. They are banged up. Now this kid's out. That's another man down. They're already down 2 other guys in that secondary. I think New England's going to be able to run the football and keep this game close. I'm going to take the Patriots plus the 7 by the half point. Let's make sure we get 7.5. And Kordell can go on about the emotional aspect of whatever an NFL player has to overcome. But I just think there has to be a hangover. Yeah, you can say he's fine. He's going to make it. Let's go win one for the Gipper. But there's an emotional drain that they're going to have to overcome here, and I think it's too much.
Kordell, what do you think? Do you think that Hamlin's injury and what the Bills just had to witness Monday night works against them? Or do you think it works in their favor and they blow the doors off New England?
The good thing about sports, right, is you need to use something or have something to help you get to another place. This can be a tough one, right? This is a double-edged sword, right? Because this is an emotion that's a little different than the one that's told to a player that you're not good enough or you suck. You know, this is a little different. Even though this Bills team is 5-6 against this team over the last, but covering 4 of those 6, this is going to be a tough one for Buffalo. Honestly, this is going to be a tough one for Buffalo. Even as bad as we've seen this New England Patriots team play in so many games over this past year, but finding ways to get it done late in it. They have the Bills -7 in this one. I'm going to stick with them. I'm going to stick with the Bills in this one. I think they know how to beat this team. Yes, they've been banged up since week 1, losing their best secondary player in their safety position, playing against the Miami Dolphins on the road in Miami. But they still found ways to get it done. I think they use this as a boost, if you will, to do it for DeMar. So I'm going to stick with Buffalo. I'm not going to fall off of it because of an emotion and say they can't get it done. I'm going to stick with them and say because of that emotion, they still actually go out and get it done, and they actually win by more than 7 points.
And I'm going to stick with Kordell on this one. I mean, you look at the way the Bills have played against New England those last 6 matchups, 5 wins by an average of over 20 points per win. I just think Buffalo right now has New England's number. They have for the last 3-4 years. And I think the emotional aspect in this one, Brandon, hey, Brandon, I can't go with you every time, Brandon. First time I go against you, you get mad at me. How about the 4th game? The other team that was playing Monday night, the Cincinnati Bengals, 7-point favorites, just like Buffalo, against the Baltimore Ravens, who, by the way, had Buffalo somehow come back and beaten Cincinnati on Monday night, Baltimore would be playing for the division title in this game. So that's a little plot twist, too, to keep in mind. But 2 teams that hate each other, bitter rivals, both going to the playoffs. Kordell, starting with you. Does Cincinnati win this one by 7 or more, or do the Ravens keep it close?
Huntley has opportunities and shows a glimpse of really good football at times. This Bengals team is on fire. I mean, early in the show, we heard B-Love mention, you know, how fired up with the tight ends and the receivers and how they're playing on defense, how they're running the football. They're pretty much moving and working on all cylinders right now. The Ravens, they don't know what they want to do. Lamar, is he coming back? Is he playing in this game? We're going to say yes, but is he going to be 100%? We may say no. Is Huntley going to be good enough? Pick one. I still don't think they're good enough to beat this Bengals team. The Bengals are on fire right now. And knowing that they get the win and win the division, and also they give a chance for themselves to have that first week off, let's say that, and then all of a sudden they have a chance to have some momentum moving to the postseason to take care of some unfinished business, which is one, getting back to a Super Bowl, but most importantly, actually winning it. This game has more on it than it is of a loss if they were actually. I'm going with the Bengals. I'm done. I'm going with the Bengals.
Kordell, 4 for 4 on favorites. Brandon, which side are you on here?
What does ATM stand for? No, don't go there. We know where that other aspect of ATM stands for. What does it stand for in banking terms? What's it stand for?
I'm listening. Go ahead. It's your story. Go ahead. Tell the story. Let's listen to
Automated teller machine, ATM.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. And the number one automated teller machine in the NFL is the Cincinnati Bengals. Their last 13 games, they're 12-1 against the spread. Number one mark in the NFL. Last year, they closed the year, regular season, covering 6 straight games. They've covered 18 of their 19 regular season games. You could have taken $1,000 and just rode that. You have 16,000 and change. I think you need to learn your lesson that you either play Cincinnati or stay away. Joe Burrows is a money-making machine. Print that dough, Joe. Print that dough, Joe. Give me the Bengals. Buy the half point, lay 6.5. You'll be fine on Sunday.
There you have it. By the way, if you're into teasers, I think this is, find another game to pair it with. This is the teaser lock of the century if you want to take that down from -7 to -1.
Jags, Bengals. Jags, Bengals. Jags, Bengals. Jags, Bengals. Jags, Bengals.
There you go. Jaguars, Bengals, 6-point teaser. How you doing? Make some money. Brandon, back to you on this one because I know Kordell can't wait to get at it, so I'm just going to make him wait a little longer. Browns, Steelers in Pittsburgh. Steelers are 2.5-point favorites, and shocker, shocker, the Pittsburgh Steelers have a chance to make the playoffs when everyone wrote them off yet again.
The magic of Mike Tomlin. Never had a losing record as head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're sitting there at 6-8. They're trailing the Raiders with 2.5 minutes to go. And they go on a game-saving drive and win the game with 46 seconds to go. 7-8. Last week at Baltimore, they played like garbage the whole game. Oh, my, Franco Harris can't help him here. Mike's looking at 7-9. And just over 2 minutes to go, they go on another game-saving drive and score. Now they're 8-8. If you think they win 2 games like that, and then Mike Tomlin's going to suffer his first losing season with a home loss to the Browns, it ain't happening. Lay the 2.5. If it goes to 3, buy it back down. At worst, the Steelers win by a field goal. They get to 9-8, and Coach T does it again and gets another winning season. Unbelievable. Kordell, it's all yours.
Yeah, I mean, you gave it all. You said it. This team was 2-6 at one point in time, right? And I talk about, there's a show I do in Pittsburgh every week, and these guys are killing them, right? I mean, they suck. Kenny Pickett should have been picked as the 20th pick overall in the draft. Should have gone with the other kid, Willis. As Coach Tomlin, is he just jarring it up with the media all the time? He uses all these big words, and his wordplay is about as good as the dictionary when it comes to trying to find one, right? But let me tell you something, man. Those last 2 games that we've had a chance to witness this team play, you mentioned the Raiders, you mentioned the Baltimore Ravens. And you know who this is big for when it comes to winning that way? The quarterback, Kenny Pickett.
Yep.
He needed that confidence to allow him to understand this game is not really as hard as he thought it was, right? If they're in reach to winning, I'm going to say right now, I'm riding with them 100%. I've been riding all year. Even when they were 2-6, I was riding with them. This team, the Browns, won't get in their way. And they're going to let the rest kind of the chips fall where they may to determine their fate of getting in. But they're not going to let anything get in their way for winning this game. Kenny Pickett, the way he's played, but most important, as you mentioned, Coach Tomlin done an outstanding job of keeping these guys together. They win just because. I mean, hey, if I didn't like them and I had to be honest and tell the truth about I didn't like them, I have to lie and tell you I love them. I mean, the Steelers are doing really good, and I'm proud to be one. And they're going to win this game by at least a touchdown or more.
Called you crazy when they were 2-6 and you were riding with them, Kordell. Now you look like a damn genius. Steelers -2.5. We're all on board. Game of the week time. The Detroit Lions, the Green Bay Packers, Sunday Night Football at Lambeau Field. This could be a win and in. It will be a win and in for the Green Bay Packers. If Seattle loses, it'll be a win and in for both teams to get the 7th seed in the NFC. Green Bay's on a ridiculous run. Brandon, starting with you, they're 4.5-point favorites. How do you see this one unfolding?
The Detroit Lions were the hottest team in the NFL. Riding high. Rolled into Carolina and gave up 2,470 yards rushing to the Carolina Panthers. Another 80-yard run by the Panthers. Oh, wait, there's no 50-yard. Oh, wait, there's no 60-yard run by Panthers. Oh, wait, there's no. It was one of the most embarrassing performances by a defense I'd ever seen. Then they turn around, they go back home, and in Ford Field, they look like they're the best defense in the NFL, and they blow out the Bears. Here's the problem. You're going into Lambeau. Minnesota just found out there's two things that don't happen in the regular season Lambeau. Aaron Rodgers doesn't lose. 16-0 in December and January with Matt LaFleur. 16-0. Lions can't stop the run. They're a different team outdoors in this situation. And right now, I don't think you can go against this Packer team. And I'm going to go on record and tell you, when Green Bay wins this game on Sunday and gets in the playoffs, I would not want to play this team right now because here comes A-Rod. He's going to do it again. He's going to make some noise. He's got a chip on his shoulder. And they have the kind of team with the way their defense is playing. Don't sleep on this team. I love Detroit. I love Dan Campbell. I love the story. Their defense isn't good enough to win this game for them, and their offense outdoors with what we saw at Carolina, just not enough to get it done.
So 4.5 or more, or do the Lions at least keep it close, Brandon?
No, lay it with Green Bay. They win by 10 or more.
Going with the favorite. Cordell, how about you?
I tell you what, the Lions have won 7 of the last 9 and covered 8 of the last 9. Correct me if I'm wrong, something like that. I think we watched the Lions play. What was it, the Giants? They're in New York. I don't think they fared. I mean, I thought they did win that game, didn't they? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Lions blew them out. Lions blew the Giants out.
All I'm saying is this: this is a funny team in the Lions, right? No one anticipated their offense to be in the conversations of being one of the top scoring offenses in the game when it comes to being able to put it up whenever they needed to. The coach, his energy is kind of Coach Cowher-ish, kind of tough, scowling kind of guy that keeps his team in the games, and they've been in every game, right? They've been in every game. They won games that we didn't think they were supposed to win. But Green Bay has found some type of mojo. I don't know what you want to call it. And I know we're relying on their quarterback and Aaron Rodgers to just do the Lambeau leap type, discount double check type magic. This is a great game to watch, man. And you know what? I haven't rode with this dude all year. This is going to be my second week in a row to do it. I'm going to go with the Packers, man. If I had to say who's going to get it, to let this be the implications of how this works, I think the star of Aaron Rodgers actually comes to fruition, bro, and they actually go up and probably beat him by I would say, 2 touchdowns, to be honest with you, because it's going to be pretty cold this weekend.
Wow, the experts are in agreement. Not just a Green Bay win, but a double-digit Green Bay win. I'm shocked. Gentlemen, 10 seconds or less on this one. We usually do a surprise me segment, but we've got the college football national championship game Monday night. Georgia is a 12.5-point favorite. Brandon, starting with you, which side are you on, Georgia or TCU?
TCU plus 7.5 first half. TCU plus 7.5 first half, maybe 8. You watch them hang around in the first half against the Georgia Bulldogs.
Cordell, what about you for the
Teach me how to Dougie. Teach me how to Dougie. Teach me how to Dougie. I'm going with Max Duggan, baby. I'm going with TCU. Let's go.
I love it. We're all in the Horned Frogs on Believe Me, guys. We'll see you next week for some NFL playoff action.